how to knit the lace trellis stitch for the loom. For today's tutorial, you will need your knitting loom. Today we are using the Kiss regular gauge knitting loom with no spacers in between the pins and the pegs, your knitting tools, a stitch marker, safety pin or cable needle, and a ball of yarn. Today we are using Manos Maxima 100% Merino wool in the color Currant.
For this stitch, we will be using the following techniques: knit stitch, purl stitch, yarn over, cable 2 back stitch, slip slip knit, and knit 2 together.
To begin working this stitch, cast on in multiples of 4 plus 2. Row 1. Knit the first stitch. Then the pattern calls for you to do a yarn over and a slip slip knit stitch, which we will work together. To do this, skip the next stitch and grab the following stitch. Slide it off the peg and over to the previous peg that we skipped. Then take both stitches together and slip them onto the next peg. Then yarn over the empty peg and knit the next 2 stitches off the following peg. That is how you do a yarn over, slip slip knit combo. Next we will begin our repeat with a knit 2 together stitch. To do a knit 2 together stitch, slip the next stitch off the peg and onto the following peg. Then grab both stitches and slip them back to the empty peg at the same time. Then knit both stitches off. Then the pattern calls for 2 yarn overs and another slip slip knit. We're going to move the stitches around for the slip slip knit first to make room for the second yarn over. So skip the next 2 pegs and grab the stitch on the 3rd peg. Slip that stitch back 1 peg. Scoop up both stitches at the same time and transfer them together to the next peg. Instead of yarning over the next 2 stitches, we're actually going to slip the next 2 stitches with the yarn in back. Then we will pull them back over one at a time on the next row to tighten up some of the excess slack that yarning over both stitches would create. Then knit the stitches off the 3rd peg together. Repeat this until the last 3 stitches. Once you reach the last 3 stitches, knit 2 together, yarn over, and knit the last stitch. Row 2. Purl the first 2 stitches. Knit 2, then we will begin our repeat by knitting into the first loop of the double yarn over. Bring the yarn from behind your pegs up and over the first peg. Knit that off. But before you drop the old stitch behind your work, slip it over to the next empty peg. Then we will knit into the back of that stitch by doing a twisted knit stitch, sometimes known as an E-wrap stitch. To do this, bring the yarn back behind the pins and onto the opposite side of the peg. Then bring it back across the peg and around to the next pin. This should create an X in the back of your peg instead of a U shape. Then knit that stitch off. Knit the next 2 stitches. Repeat this until the last 2 stitches. Purl the last 2 stitches. Row 3. Knit the first stitch. Then purl the next stitch. Then we will begin our repeat with a cable 2 back stitch. To do a cable 2 back stitch, grab a stitch marker, cable needle, or safety pin and scoop up the next stitch and set it behind your work. Knit the following stitch. Slip that stitch back to the empty peg and set down the stitch in the back of your work on the following peg. Then knit that stitch. And that's how you do a cable 2 back stitch. Purl the next 2 stitches. Repeat this, cable 2 back and purl 2 until the last 4 stitches. Once you get to the last 4 stitches, cable 2 back, purl 1 stitch, and knit the last stitch. Row 4. Purl the first 2 stitches. Then we will begin our repeat by knitting 2, then purl 2. Repeat this until the end of the row. Row 5. Knit the first stitch. Then knit 2 together. Then we will begin our repeat by slipping the next 2 stitches instead of yarning over and doing a slip slip knit stitch. Then knit 2 stitches together, and repeat this until the last 3 stitches. Slip the next 2 stitches and slip slip knit. Then knit the last stitch. Row 6. Purl the first stitch. Knit 1, knit into the first loop of the yarn over by pulling the strand from behind the pegs up and over the first peg. Knit that stitch, but instead of dropping the old stitch behind your work, slip it onto the next peg, making sure to go behind the pins. Knit into the back of the next stitch by doing a twisted knit stitch like before. Then we will begin our repeat by knitting the next 2 stitches. Then work the next 2 yarn over stitches as we did before, knitting the first loop and knitting into the back of the second loop. Repeat this until you reach the last 2 stitches. Knit the next stitch. And purl the last stitch. Row 7. Knit the first 2 stitches. Then we will begin our repeat by purling the next 2 stitches. Then do a cable 2 back stitch. Repeat this until the last 4 stitches. Once you reach the last 4 stitches, purl 2 stitches, and knit the last 2 stitches.
Row 8. Purl the first stitch. Knit 1, purl 2, then we will begin our repeat by knitting 2 stitches, then purling 2 stitches, repeat this until the last 2 stitches, knit 1, and purl the last stitch.
Repeat rows 1 through 8 until you've reached your desired length, and that's how you knit the lace trellis stitch for the loom. Want more loom knitting tutorials? Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and follow our blog at vintagestorehouse.com to get new videos and posts sent right to your inbox. Thanks for watching!